Hey everybody, this is Minesh and welcome to Modernizing Biz podcast. This show is all about business, marketing, and entrepreneurship, where I interview some of the greatest minds from around the globe who will share their experience with you, and that's how we're gonna help in modernizing your biz for free. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Modernizing Biz podcast. On this episode, we have a 20-year-old entrepreneur who is a owner of a social media marketing agency. He's digital marketer, he's a social media influencer, and apart from that, he's also a YouTuber. Welcome Kieran O'Brien on Modernizing Biz.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey Kieran, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
So tell us something bit about like where are you from? What you love doing the most?
Yeah. So I live here in the United States. I'm originally from right outside of the capital, Washington D.C., and I moved a couple years ago to the other side of the country, to the West Coast, to Arizona, which is a border state of California. I'm sure you know where California is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that Yep. So that's where I live now, and just in terms of my story, I got started in entrepreneurship when I was about 16 years old. I found my first mentor, and I just really had a hunger and a passion for business and for marketing, and I got into it and kind of just found my niche in the automotive space. And I decided to build a company around it. So that was back when I was still in high school, and I was 1 year away from graduating. And
Okay.
at that point, I had to decide if I was going to go to university or not, and I chose not to go to university, and pursue my
Mhm.
company instead.
That seems like a bold move. Choose that decision if you went to university instead of dropping out. So, what do you think? You'll enjoy your life back at those days.
I'm glad that I didn't go to university. I've never been a big supporter of, like, just drop out because it's cool, right? But I had a real business, and I was making decent money, and I knew that if I went to university, I would probably fall behind, right? I would lose the momentum that I had. So that's why I chose to not go to university and pursue my dreams. And I didn't drop out, and I didn't say no to university. I actually got accepted. I applied to university and got accepted, and I deferred my admissions. So for 1 year,
Okay.
I went and I pursued my business, and I still could have, at the end of that year, I still could have gone to university. My offer of admission was still good. But at the end of that year, I made even more progress, and I decided that I didn't need to go.
Okay. That's amazing, man. So, tell us a little bit more about your journey, how you find your own SMMA agency.
hmm Yeah, so I actually started doing SMMA a little bit before I even knew what it was, right? So I was running social media for
Okay.
businesses, and then one day I saw an ad on YouTube from Ty Lopez talking about social media marketing, and he was talking about how you can make all this money and everything. And so I clicked on it and I learned more about it. I took his course, and then when I was listening to Ty Lopez talk about it, I realized I already do this for a couple businesses. But
Yeah.
that's when it kind of the switch flipped in my head, and I realized, oh, I can do this for a lot more businesses and make it a real company. And so that's when I decided to pursue that.
All right. So, you buy that course, and what do you think? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I think a course is only worth it if you go into it expecting to get value out of it, right? No one's going to do anything for you in life. No one's going to make anything any easier, right? It's always going to be hard. It's always going to be hard work. But if you
Yeah.
learn how to learn, I think that's the most important thing. You need to learn how to learn and figure out how you learn, right? Also, how you learn. Are
Okay.
you visual or auditory? Do you need to read things, see things, do things? How do you learn, right? And for me, that course was a great way for me to learn the basics of what I needed to know to start my company. So it was definitely worth it for me. I wouldn't say it would be worth it for everyone, because everyone has a different learning style, but it was definitely worth it for me.
Okay, yeah, even like at this particular age of 20, most of our friends are into the high schools. Either they are going through any kind of education. So they are relying more on the courses and everything. And I guess that the number
Mhm.
one reason they are not learning with an intention. That's why they don't get value out of it the most.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
How you have got started in the field of marketing, and at what point of time you identified that you had a genuine interest in this, in marketing and everything.
Yeah. So my first mentor, his name was Matt, and he owned a business and he was very good at marketing. So when he took me under his wing and became my mentor and I started to learn from him, I I quickly found out that I really enjoyed marketing and
Yeah.
he was very good at it. So he was a great teacher to kind of show me how he marketed his business. And that's how I got interested in it.
Okay. According to you, mentors are the most important part in the life of any entrepreneur.
I wouldn't say the most important, but I would say it is
Hmm.
one of the most important because having a mentor allows you to cut down that learning curve. You don't have to be stuck on something for so long if you can ask somebody
Yeah.
who's already faced a problem like that how they got through it.
And man, once you have find out that you have a genuine interest in the marketing field, so now the portions come is the execution part. So
Mhm.
how you execute it further?
Yeah, I think in terms of execution, I was just hungry. In my very early days, I would drive around to
Mhm.
different automotive businesses and pitch them on my services and build relationships with the business owners. And, just a genuine hunger and a hustle is really the best way to build a business from scratch.
I've identified that you're relying more on the social medias part only.
Yeah, a big focus of our company is social media, like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and everything like that. But we do other things outside of social media. We do overall marketing strategy and execution. We do influencer marketing. We do email marketing,
Mhm.
SEO, Google advertising. So we do a number of things outside of social media. Although social media is where I got started. I have a big passion for it as a social media brand
Yeah.
personally, with my brand on Instagram and my YouTube channel. So I do love social media, but it's not the only thing that we do. So we do a number of other things as well.
Okay, so even I have observed with your personal brand. If I talk about your personal account on Instagram, to be honest, I've just connected with you once I've watched your Instagram story ad, and to be honest, that the conversion rate, you got to know like how great the conversion rate you have. So you have specialization in the Facebook ads, Google ads, like what other fields you are expertise in?
Yeah, Facebook ads and Google ads are definitely in terms of like tactical things that I do and that my company does. Those are definitely big
Mhm.
ones, but not everything is tactical, right? Facebook ads don't work if you're not a smart marketer. Google ads don't work if you're not a smart
Okay.
marketer. So I think you need to understand marketing and human psychology more than you need to understand
Mhm.
Facebook ads, right? So
Yeah.
what goes into a Facebook ad in terms of the strategy and in terms of, once they leave Facebook and go to your landing page or to your funnel or to your Instagram page, what happens next? That's the most important part. A lot of people are so focused on learning Facebook ads or they're so focused on
Mhm.
learning Google ads, right? And they kind
Yeah.
of neglect the most important part, which is all of the stuff that goes into that before and after the actual Facebook ad.
Yeah. Mhm. The psychology of the audience.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. See, I have observed that you are not diversing your services, and you are relying more on the one particular set of services. That if you talk about social media, so most of your services is revolving around the social media only, like influencer marketing, lead
Mhm.
generations, ads, something like that. So, do you really believe on an ideology of being in small giants rather than diversifying into multiple fields?
I do, and also, our industry in automotive, right? We don't really service many clients outside of the automotive industry because we are industry experts, right? We know that we have an
Okay.
understanding of the industry, and we have an understanding very deeply of our services and how to provide them well. And so, I think as an entrepreneur, if you and your company can focus on a few things and be really good at those things, it's a lot better than being okay at a lot of things.
Yeah, I totally agree with this particular point.
Yeah.
See, the most of my audience are at the age group of around 18 to 25. Okay, and
Right.
you are an exceptional case. You have whole figured it out. You have your own brand started. That you have started the entrepreneurial journey at the age of 16. But the most cases, this won't happen with the people at this particular age.
Right.
So they are into the figuring out mode. They are just trying new and new stuff. Is according to you, how others can identify their niche and their areas of interest.
Yeah, I think, life is a journey, right? There's no right or wrong time to get started. It's never too late to get started. You just have to take action. So if you listen to this podcast, right, and you
Yeah.
hear Manesh and I talking about all these things, and you decide,
Hmm.
hey, I want to do that, just go do it, right? Take the first step. You don't have to quit your job or drop out of school or do anything crazy like that. You just have to start looking into it a bit more and understanding and learning and watching free stuff on YouTube. Like if you go to my YouTube channel, you can learn a whole bunch of stuff for free,
Yeah.
right? So
Exactly.
that's what differentiates the people who are genuine hustlers and entrepreneurs from the people that aren't, is that initial action, that initial decision to say, hey, I want to change my life, I want to do something differently, I want to one day quit my job, one day drop out of school. Like I would love to do that, but you need to take the steps between where you are now and there in the meantime to make sure that you're set up properly for a decision like that.
Yeah, you need, so like we have seen that a lot of people make these bold moves in the initial phase of their career, and of course there's a lot of entrepreneurs who get successful. If I talk about you, okay, and others entrepreneurs, if I talk about Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, and whatnot. So even we have seen that a lot of people make the bold move and they got failed. So if they follow this particular piece of advice, it's definitely going to work and bridge a gap between the post university life and the life that they are currently living.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, so now we will talk a little bit more about the social media marketing, the best tools that you have
Mhm.
used, and the most important platform that you dominate on. Tell me one thing, which platforms you rely more on to generate leads for your clients?
Oh, it's all Facebook. Facebook
Oh,
is our primary source of lead generation for our clients.
so, like you rely more on the Facebook ads, or you create a fan page or something like that?
Yeah, so every business needs to have its own fan page. Every
Mhm.
personal brand needs to have its own fan page, right?
Mhm.
And from there, you just need to come up with a strategy to be able to convert on what you want, right? Do you want new customers? Do you want likes, followers? Do you want
Mhm.
revenue, right? What do you want out of your advertising? Decide on that, and then figure out, okay, how do I get there from where I'm currently at, right? How do I get there from zero? How do I create an ad that's going to convert highly? How do I do all these different things?
Okay. So, man, I was reading one book wrote by Gary Vaynerchuk. It's Crush It. So, where he was stressing more on creating a fan page instead of creating a business account on Facebook. What are your thoughts on this?
Um, I think a fan page is better for a business, to be honest.
Okay. Mhm.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, and how you generate leads? What are the major tactics you follow to get more and more conversions to your clients?
Right. So the most important tactic is to come up with a compelling offer, right? Nobody wants to become a lead if if there's no benefit to them, right? There needs to be a clear
Mhm.
benefit to the user. There needs to be um, a very
Motivate.
clear, motivation. What do I get by clicking on
Mhm.
this ad? So you need to be very clear in displaying what that is. And then, from there, you need to have a good follow up on the back end, have a good system for, how you're going to follow up with those leads and close them.
So, according to you, which one is better, a Google ad or a Facebook ad?
So they're used for different things, right?
Mhm.
Um, Google ads are great for intent based users. So
Mhm.
users who are already looking for something, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Facebook ads are good for going out and finding people who might not necessarily be intent based, right? You convince them that they want something rather than them wanting something and then finding it on Google. You convince them through advertising on Facebook that they want something. So that's the
Okay.
difference.
Yeah, the Facebook ads a little bit more descriptive compared to the Google ads. So
Right. Right.
yeah, so as we all know, that this pandemic has affected the purchasing power of many households, and you're dealing in the field of automobiles, automotive brands. So of course, the demand side of the things is also on the very low sides. So what impact this coronavirus recessions have bring into your business?
Yeah, honestly, it has not been super bad for us. I'll tell you why, because
Hmm.
here in the US, essential business and even in India, I'm sure essential businesses are
Yeah,
allowed to stay open, right? And
exactly. Yeah.
so I work with automotive shops. So if your car breaks, you need to get it fixed. That's an essential business. So all of
Hmm.
my clients stayed open throughout the coronavirus. So I actually didn't even lose many clients, and I actually closed a good amount of new clients during the
Okay.
coronavirus.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So, and how you cope up with the few more problems that are coming in your way in this particular time?
I'm not able to travel as much, right? That's number one. And, I'm not able to, uh, you have to wear a mask everywhere and all these things. It's
Yeah.
definitely, it takes getting used to, but overall, I think that it's a change that we're, as a human race, we're adapting well to it. And I think it's going to be over sooner than later, and we'll get back to our normal lives in the next few months. Maybe it'll take a year, but I'm not worried about it too much, right? I'm focused on my company and building my brand. I'm in my house or my office, and that's it, right? I don't really do much else. So that's all I really worry about is my
Mhm.
my world and kind of what's going on there.
Okay. So you are totally a person made without of a work ethic.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we all are curious about your thoughts on money because we all have seen that you are a big fan of living a super luxurious life, and not only this, you're already living that particular kind of lifestyle. So, what are the thoughts on money? Do you think focusing on money is the mandatory thing as an entrepreneur?
No, and to be honest, I really don't focus on money too much. My
Hmm.
life might come across as luxurious or something like that, but to be honest, I live a fairly normal life. I work in an industry. I work in the luxury car industry. That's where my company is focused, right? So I get to be around like cool luxury cars all the time. So it might come across that I live like a very luxurious lifestyle, but overall, my life is pretty normal. I live in a small apartment, and I have a company with a small team of people, and we do good work. And I just like to, I used to be very focused on money, and more recently, I've discovered that focusing on people and focusing on improvement and learning and all of these other things are much more fulfilling than focusing on money.
Okay, and once
Hmm.
I have watched your video, A Day in a Life of an 20-year-old entrepreneur, right? You have uploaded on your
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
So I've watched that video before realizing that you are added onto my Instagram. But right now,
Mm.
before yeah, so before organizing this, before recording this episode, I've just checked out your YouTube and I identified that yeah, man, this man is living a really great life. So at the age of 20, so that's really great. And if you think that you are living on a basic lifestyles, so you are doing very great and you're down to earth.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
There's a lot of hustle culture, hardcore work ethic culture going on to all over the world. Okay, so what do you think
Yeah.
about this recent culture? And do you think that this is the onlyest way to achieve our goals, our vision, or our ambition?
Oh, that's a great question. No question, you have to hustle and you have to work hard, right? But I don't think that the notion that you have to be hustling 24/7 and working, 23 hours a day and grinding, in a lot of cases, success is a process, right? Sometimes you don't even have enough to work on for 12 hours straight, right? Because you don't know what direction you want to take
Mhm.
yourself. So I think, rather than focusing on, how can I hustle? How can I work hard right now? I think that a lot of people, especially if you're starting out, what is a better use of your time is to go and learn, right? Learn and read a book, listen to a podcast, watch a video on how to do something that you're interested in doing, take a class, take a course, whatever it is. Those are better uses of your time than just sitting down and trying to quote unquote hustle, because that's not going to
Mhm.
get you anywhere if you don't have a direction.
Yeah, at times we need to be more smart about the decisions that we made.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
See, even I have worked in the field of digital marketing, and I've been working in this field from past 1 or 2 year. And the problem that we are facing in India is that convincing clients, bringing clients on board, it itself holds a lot pain in our ass, to be honest. Okay, so how you bridge this gap?
I think building a reputation is the most important thing. So if you're having trouble closing clients,
Mhm.
you might want to work with a client for free or at a discount in the beginning, just so you can build up a relationship and build up a case study for that client.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
that's probably the best way to build up your reputation in the beginning, because then closing clients becomes easy once you've done it a few times successfully.
Mhm. Can you go a little bit deep more about the case study portion that you have touched?
Yeah, so I mean, it's simple, right? You just want to do a really good job for a couple businesses and then record the results. Say, so once you've done this, you go into a meeting and you say, "Hey, Mr. Business Owner,
Yeah.
look at all of these results that we've gotten for these other businesses. Now
Mhm.
we'd like to do it for you." Right?
Okay, cool, cool. You're really doing it in a great way. So, at last, I wanted to ask one more question. What piece of advice you will
Yeah.
give to anyone who is at this starting point in their career and who wanted to build their future in the field of marketing?
I would say learn as much as you can and don't be afraid of change. The marketing is an industry that changes so rapidly, so quickly,
Yeah.
and you need to be ahead of the curve. You need to be ahead of the curve. You need to be constantly researching and learning and figuring out how you can make a difference in, in what you're doing and how you're differentiating yourself. That's the most important part.
Okay, cool. That's it for my end. If you want to add something so that our listeners can get more value out of it, so you can go ahead with that.
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate you bringing me on the podcast here, Manesh, and I hope that people get value from this, and I hope that you guys don't just listen to this podcast for the sake of listening to it. When you're done listening to this podcast, go do something, right? Go take action, go learn something, and figure something out that you've been putting off or procrastinating on. That's my best advice.
Okay, and I hope our listeners will get a lot of value out of this particular episode. So thank you so much, bro, for being on an modernizing this podcast. It's pleasure to invite you on this, and it was really nice having a conversation with you. It means world to me.
Of course, not a problem.
Hey guys, it means the world to me that you stay till end. I hope you get some value out of this episode. Before going, make sure you do your bit by hitting the follow and subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening it on, whether it's Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Geo7 or Spotify. Thank you so much once again for tuning into Modernizing Biz podcast.